Ready? Okay. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is September 19th, 2024, and it's 6:32 p.m. We'll do the roll call first. Terry Warner.
Here.
Matthew McGovern.
Here.
Laura Sanchez Fowler is absent. Mike McLeod.
Here.
Sam Houston Clinton.
Here.
And please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And please remain standing for the invocation. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, Lord God, we are just so grateful to you, Lord God, for our little town of Martindale. And Heavenly Father, we do pray for more rain. We just need to fill up that aquifer. And Lord God, we just ask that you be with us tonight as we go forward in governing this little city and passing the budget and all of the business that we need to take care of. And we do thank you for your gift of salvation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay. We're going to do it a little bit different tonight. We're going to go straight into the public hearing. So the first one is a public hearing on adopting the 2025 fiscal year proposed budget beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending on September 30th, 2025. And the public and council members may give your input.
Yeah, so if the council wants, I can give a brief introduction, kind of give background. The intent of the public hearing is to allow anybody who wants to speak on the issue to speak on the issue. So as for those in the audience, the city's budget was published in August. It establishes the projected revenues based off of a proposed tax rate and also limits on spending. We want to go to the third part, go to page 2. In the proposed budget, it showed the proposed tax rate of roughly 30 cents per $100, which would result in about a $12,000, a little over $12,000 total increase in collected taxes. Most of, or a good portion of that $2,000 is property new to the rolls. As we'll see in the ordinance tonight, that's adopts the tax rate. Another way to look at this is per $100,000 of evaluation, this tax increases $11. So if you own a property that's $500,000, this is increasing your tax by $55, and that's the city's portion. Obviously, it's much smaller than the school districts or what have you. Our budget is broken down between the general fund, utility fund, and restricted accounts. The general fund functions to serve all the operating activities of the city. Separate, there's basically if it's not accounted for in the utility fund as a business-like activity, and it's not a restricted fund that constrains it to use on certain activities, then it's paid for in the general fund. So like my salaries of most of the staff and other items are expenses that come out of the general fund. The property taxes are roughly just shy of 60% of the total revenue that the city takes in. The remaining 40% is nearly evenly split between sales tax revenue, franchise fees, and other revenue sources. And I don't know if there's specific questions that the public has. I'm happy to go deep into each line item, but with that, I'll probably pause and let the public comment, and we can entertain questions from there.
Us being the public or the public?
You're welcome to. You're gonna have a chance to approve the budget later on as
Okay.
well.
I'll be quiet.
But if you want, if you have a
No, I
general
don't
statement.
anything yet.
I got a question. How much did we collect in, for last month for Park Mobile?
Ooh,
Because it's not reflected in here, right?
no, it's not reflected in there. What is reflected in the budget, you'll see different columns.
Because I know we
One
don't
was,
collect it.
slide or page 4, probably a good one. 5, let's go 5. This page 5 is it's going to take a little bit to render because of the PDF.
$6,897.
Just shy of 7.
Just like $7,000. Yeah, so for those who've looked at our budget, there's a column for the budget amount, and then there's some historical data that's provided last year's budget values, projected end of years, and actuals to date. So
28.2, so your 30 seems to be pretty dead on.
yeah, I think it's going to be really close. It was based off of last year's. If we took a 12-month period of time, which was June to July,
Yeah.
or I guess it was July to June, it was a little over $30,000. So assuming it's another 12-month period, just split differently, it should be about the same.
We do have some extra money, more than we're paying the contract. There is some extra, that was what I wanted to make sure.
Extra money because of the increased amount in the Park Mobile
Well, there's
budget.
money in the fund to fund it, and then there's gonna be a collection amount of roughly 30,000, and the expenses for the HAs is roughly 26.
Mhm.
So there should be at least a $4,000 for other things, that need to be on signage and, like you said, the winterization and things of that ilk, so.
How much is left in the park budget as of this year? Not the restricted money, but the other money?
So that's going to be in our financial reports.
Well, if you're gonna do it later, it's fine.
We can cover that later.
Later,
If it pertains to the budget, I'm happy to entertain the discussion on that issue.
But the money that's left over from the park money will then, as it's done before, just go into the general fund.
No, the revenues that are acquired through the Park Mobile activity.
No, I mean, no, not park mobile money, the other money that the city gave last year that we've been dipping and spending on. There's some money left in the
Oh,
general
yes.
fund money.
Yes, we fund the parks out of 2 funding sources, the general fund and the restricted account. When there's remaining general fund monies, that oftentimes as a practice and procedure, and I think required an ordinance that we come back to city council and present what the budget surplus or deficit is. And at that time, that budget surplus, as has been customary, is to put that into a long-term capital savings fund.
Wouldn't we just expense as much as we can out of that, not touch the reserve, the Park Mobile money?
That's how we've. been
That's how it's set up, right?
Mhm.
So in essence, it'll be 0 or really close to that. So we're gonna expense the monthly maintenance out of that budget. So we should start the year with obviously a high starting balance on that restricted fund.
This
And
whole
starting
year,
to-
yeah.
Starting to pay for the maintenance out of the park mobile budget starting in.
You're almost going to have 12 months worth of cash surplus in that restricted fund.
Yep.
To fund park operations as we roll into the next year where we're funding the parks only through that restricted accounts, those revenues generated by the parking activities. So
Yeah.
there'll be operating surplus cushion in case people come to the parks less, but you're still paying the same amount forward. So.
Because we'll, it's like we get taxes, we'll draw down in the winter, and then we'll go back up.
Yep.
It'll be the same thing we do with the property tax. We are drawing down right now, and then we'll go come December, if they publish the darn thing early enough, people start paying in December. We'll flush in January. It's regular fund.
This kind of follows the park mobile fund. Chief, Tommy,
Yes.
quick question. What type of a compliance are we doing, you think, with our parking, our park visitors?
I venture to say 90%.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
put number on.
Okay, thank you. Good. Thank you.
Nothing else from. I think with that, also want to, I covered this, the property tax, covered the budget. If there's nobody else who wants to participate in the public hearing, and we can probably close public hearing, proceed with the remaining agenda.
Anybody else have anything to say about the budget or the tax rate? Okay, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:43. And we will go to the first order of business. And by law, we have to do this right after the public hearing. So 2.1, discussion and possible action, motion to adopt or reject the 2024-2025 fiscal year proposed budget beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending September 31st, 2025. So if there's no discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the 2024-2025 fiscal year proposed budget beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending September 31st, 2025.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Can you go over just about personnel and is that in the budget then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I know we had been deciding whether or not to hire a city administrator part-time. Are we gonna talk about personnel later or?
I'm going to provide a status update on hiring activities, but it's not going to be directly related to the city administrator position. What's in the budget right now for the city administrator's position is not full-time. So that's what the budget is based on. It took me a second to pull the rest of the details if you have further questions, but it includes a part-time city administrator.
As is now.
Yeah, as is now to an extent. I believe the hours were increased to possibly 24. Let me pull that calculation up. So yeah, it accounted for 20 hours per week for city administrator, 40 hours. I'm sorry. Yeah. 20 hours per week.
And then hourly pay rate.
Hourly pay rate, I think, was $30. Rough between $30, $32, somewhere in that range. Pulled up a spreadsheet, but it looks to be.
And the James Leal, the code enforcer, is that a specific line item as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Code enforcement.
At 16 hours per week.
16 hours a week. Any other changes in municipal court employees or the utility clerks or anything?
Yeah, so the changes to the structure is we're combining the municipal court clerk jobs and the utility clerk jobs into a unified municipal clerk position that is going to be funded at our current rates. I think our starting rate is $15 an hour adjusted for inflation over the last couple of years. That puts us in like the $16 range, 16 and change at 32 hours a week for that combined position.
Because I know we had tried to combine the jobs in the past, and I think the municipal court clerk had reluctance to do utility work as well, but have they changed their mode of acceptance on this? I mean, you're combining their functions.
Yes, they have.
They've accepted to do
Yes.
utility work as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
They're gonna, we have two that are going to cross train.
Okay. And then they'll be over here and they'll be over here because important stuff, papers pertaining to the court will stay over here.
We have a lot to work out as
Yeah.
far as, but with the new computer system, they can do all functions right at the front.
Huh?
Right.
And with the new government billing function, whatever, that'll help that out.
Exactly.
Anyone else, any questions on personnel before? And then you'll go over the police and all that stuff
Sorry.
later.
This is
This
it.
is mainly the
This is it.
budget.
There's no changes. There's only a few small changes. If you recall this one from the last one,
Uh-huh.
there's only a few small, I mean, I went through it. There's only a few small changes.
Yeah.
There's some cost changes, that's what Judge referring, he's lowered the hours on that city administrator. We're in budget.
Yeah,
We're balanced.
Yeah,
Right.
So
yeah, you can't crunch the numbers much more than this.
I thought he did a really good job, especially with the new software, because I saw what the setup was before. It's a little convoluted. I mean, he sent the Excel spreadsheet and I tried to play with it and it was a PITA, as they say, pain in the butt.
Mhm.
So
Susan City Council.
I don't think
meeting.
bud starts with an A, but whatever.
Okay, that's all I have about personnel then, thank you.
Does any other council member have anything? Okay, so we're gonna go to a roll call vote. And since Matthew made the motion and Terry seconded it, Sam, how do you vote?
Aye.
And
Aye.
Mike? Okay, so the motion carries. And we're gonna have to do another motion on the tax rate, 2.2.
I would like to make a modification. It, in the agenda, it talks 2025, this is a tax rate that applies to the fiscal year 2025. The tax year, I believe, on the form is 2020.
yes.
And so that has to be. correct.
So when we make the motion,
Yeah.
reference 2024.
I'll say so.
Okay, so motion to adopt or reject the proposed tax rate for the 2025 tax year, which we mean the fiscal year, starting October 1st, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025.
Yes.
So I make a motion to adopt the proposed tax rate for the 2024 tax year of 0.3082 cents on each $100 of taxable value of real property, beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025.
And we're approving the ordinance. There's ordinances that are going to this. It's more than just the motion.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we put them on here.
Yeah, I know they're delivered.
They may be at the very end.
I didn't get them, but I know what you're talking. No, they're not here.
Ordinance? The ordinance. We were gonna attach it.
Not in that. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, put it up on. We need to put it.
Yeah, I'll put it up.
Okay.
This machine doesn't have the email.
We need to record.
Yes.
Now,
And there's two ordinances, one for the budget and one for the tax rate.
there's your ordinance number for the tax.
91902.
If we want to, we can always go back just to clean up the record to adopt the budget ordinance,
First one.
the first one.
Do we need to make a motion again on that then?
Yeah, let's just do it again,
Okay,
It
so,
should be,
just to clean it up.
now
It's-
it should be if you get out of the iPad, agenda in the same chain.
we got it, there you go. We got it up top though. We got it. Thank you. All right, so we're going back a step. I'll make a motion to approve motion to adopt the 2024-25 fiscal year proposed budget beginning October 1st, 2024, ending September 30th, 2025, which is ordinance number 2024-09-19-01.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and we have to do a roll call vote again. So, Sam, how do you vote?
Okay.
And Mike?
Aye.
Okay, so the motion carries. Now we'll do the same thing with the tax rate. We need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Okay, I make a motion to adopt the proposed tax rate for the 2024 tax year of 0.3082 cents for each $100 taxable value of real property beginning October 1st, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025. That is ordinance number 2024-09-19-02.
Okay, and do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on the tax rate?
Did you say fiscal year 2024?
It is 2024 because that is the property tax fiscal years for 2024's year, but it's for our 2024-2025 budget.
I see.
So that's the charge of saying, I understood when you said that, exactly what you meant.
No, now,
Yeah, it
now
makes
I,
sense,
now
yeah.
it makes
Because
sense.
we pay it in arrears. Technically, we pay our
Yeah.
property tax in arrears.
We set the rate.
Thank you for saying that.
in arrears.
Right.
Hey, they roll. I just-
Good budget balance.
Okay, so again, we have to do a roll call. So since Matthew made the motion and Terry seconded it, Sam, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, so the motion carries. Okay, so we're done with that. So for the mayor's report, I have written, this went out in the utility flyer yesterday and billing yesterday. And so I did a little update on the grants. The two that were really noticeable were, we did go ahead and put on the website what we had given to the council last meeting 2 weeks ago, as far as what the engineering study was to upgrade the treatment plant and the Crockett lift station. So that is on the website for anybody to view. And the other one is we're working on the RCP, the Resilient Communities Program, which is our master plan. And we've been conducting a survey. I haven't asked Langford in the last week or so how many more surveys we've gotten back. But we have scheduled at the next city council meeting is going to be a workshop prior to the city council meeting from 4 to 6 p.m. And I would really like to see everybody attend that workshop. It's really important, and we get a lot of really good, valuable information. I did put the website on there in case somebody hasn't taken the survey yet. We do have Word document if you want a paper copy right here in the office. And so they'll be updating that on October the 3rd. I did want to make an announcement. I didn't have this on the agenda, but because I was working on it, the Parks Department and Parks Advisory Board and the River Advisory Board are going to have a workshop on October 22nd at 6 p.m. That's a Tuesday. And they're going to be discussing how to use the 8 acres for phase 2 and phase 3. And so I encourage everybody to come and give us your input. The Parks Department has been working on that pretty diligently. And that's where we're also talking about putting the mini pitch. So
What day is that, Mary?
October 22nd, it's a Tuesday.
At 6.
And this is just hot off the presses because it just finally came together a few hours ago.
That's on Tuesday, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I had a question about that. I think, Matthew, you went and saw some flood maps there and the flood maps have changed then?
The county is, proposing the changes to the flood maps. I do have it. I will bring it with me if you remind me. I did take one from there. I know the city has one because they bring up the digital. So the city does have it, but I went and asked and they did give me the Martindale one.
They're
The
proposed.
proposed, but it's a formality.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. The city still has to approve the city's ones, inside the city limits, but the county is going to approve. But it does affect, most of the changes were, off of Morris Creek and that area, obviously goes into that area. But, it does move the floodway, is bigger, and then obviously the floodplain was not much bigger, but it was it really impacted the property between the wastewater plant and 142, where who was trying to build, their property is impacted
So
significantly.
we
In
really,
the floodplain or in the floodway?
Floodplain, because that's all the creek bottom. It did enlarge it. So they did they did a huge study on that. There was like 28 areas that they studied.
yeah,
And then they're proposing basically making Morrison Creek a big ditch to move the water faster.
okay. So
Okay.
we're gonna move on to the city administrator's report.
Yeah, so tonight, just want to give a quick update on hiring activities. As city council knows, we received resignation from our municipal judge. The mayor and I had an opportunity to interview a candidate. We posted a job announcement for municipal judge. That job announcement is open until filled. We interviewed somebody. I believe we're going to try to schedule an opportunity for city council to consider that applicant in a future council meeting in October. We're going to get that scheduled. We also interviewed several candidates for the other openings that we've had. We advertised for the city administrator's position, an assistant to the city administrator's position, and a permanent municipal clerk, city clerk position. The job right now that Deanna's filling on an interim basis. We interviewed a few candidates since we last spoke. At least one hiring decision was made, that we have selected a candidate for the assistant to the city administrator's position. That candidate's going to start Monday in all probability. And then future hiring actions, well, the city clerk position, that's an appointment that goes to the formal appointments process because that's an officer of the city. And then the city administrator, my position, I want to continue to fill that until a change is made. And so nothing's being planned for scheduled for that right now. So what in all likelihood is just one candidate being brought in from the outside to fill those openings as it sits today. And then, I'll be further conversation going forward in the months ahead, but there's no immediate changes on those other positions now.
Can you say anything about the assistant city administrator qualifications or
So,
anything about that person?
This is a little bit of a joke on the TV show The Office, the distinction between assistant manager and assistant to the manager.
Yeah.
This distinction though does have some implications, some practical implications. So for this position, it is assistant to the city manager. And the reason for that is the scope of duties that person is going to be assigned. The scope is not, the same portfolio that Adrian was filling as he was an assistant city manager or city administrator. This position that's being hired is an assistant to the city administrator, and their primary roles and responsibilities will be focused on land use, building permits, and helping any zoning things that come up. But the big one is building permits. So some of those initial activities that they're going to assist with are some record keeping with the mayor, who's been filling that function for the city for quite some time. And then also looking ahead at going to an online paperless process and supporting the contracting activities for that, which the city council will probably start seeing proposals, maybe a draft request for proposals for your review and input, maybe in the November timeframe. So maybe late October, if we're lucky. I think the distinction is important because that is what they're going to be focused on. It's
He
just,
is going to school. He's in the same program that Adrian just finished.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
that concludes my report.
Okay, so we can move on to the city accountant for August.
Okay, you see up there on the screen, the bank balances as of a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, when I completed this report. You see the general fund has $71,000, so plenty of money to make it through the end of the month and start the next fiscal year. Total of all of the kind of operating check writing accounts over at the First Lockhart Bank, total at $130,059 you see there at the bottom. Then you see our emergency fund has $257,000 and growing monthly with interest. Then the PFIA, Public Funds Investment Act savings account, basically with various designated monies in it. You see grant funds at 175. I believe there's $45,000 that's due back to that fund. Once we collect it, we had to front some money on a grant that'll go back into that fund. Park Mobile, you see at 39,000. And I think I said we brought in another 7,000 this week for August. So that money continues to build.
Is that as of January 1st, I assume, correct, or the physical?
Well, it's as of Monday,
Monday.
and then we got a little more money in.
This is cash balance.
So
Gotcha.
anyway, 438,000 in that designated account. You see long-term capital fund, still money in there that was set aside. That came up earlier, what we do with when we make the final accounting and close out the funds that are left from the prior year, it generally goes to that spot there. And that's in a special account.
Does the restricted hotel tax, has that 12,000 been removed from that we just gave?
It has.
So that's the current balance, 54.
Due to comptroller for the fines, you see is down to 262. So that's the balances. The next.
You make it sound so small, $262,000.
If you see the San Marcos one,
They've got an amount due to state too.
no, but they have extra zeros in all of their,
Yeah.
commas.
Yeah, what's their budget, like 180 million or something?
Something like that, yeah.
180 times ours.
So 260 is nothing, you know.
All right, here's the general fund budget report through August. The top line, you see we brought in 101% of our property tax money. So that is all in. You see our sales tax, we're 87%. So we're gonna get, pretty close to funding all of that. I actually, the money, it was about another $6,000. So that's gonna end up at about 80. That money came in recently. You see the franchise fees more than covered that budget. Permits, more interest, more going up, Deanna. Keep going. So court fines, that's the one that's down. But you see revenues through 11 months at
Yep.
641,000 or 93% of plan.
But you have court fines somewhere else too in the report, right?
Yes.
I guess you're right. That's right. The budget is all here, but some of the fines are in the special revenue fund. And and I will say, we're in this interim period where the budget isn't, and the actuals don't exactly stack up in this system conversion, but I've already taken this entire budget for next year and put it in the system. Starting October 1st, these numbers are gonna line up perfectly with the budget that you guys just approved. And I also wanted to put it in there just to make sure the math works. And
Mhm.
it's like when you're in spreadsheets and there's a lot going on, you'd be surprised how often you get down to when it's just adding and subtracting, how there can be problems in it, but it worked perfectly. So that's another thing I wanted to make sure of.
Good job.
Okay, so you can scroll on down through some of the expenses, or all the expenses really, but the parks are the ones that came up earlier, and that's going to be a little ways down before we get to the park. Just kind of scroll through these line items so people could see what has been spent.
On the utility line, then you just have street lighting, you don't include the other utilities like electric and those things.
You know-
I mean, general electric, like for this building.
If you scroll back up, we should see it. It's broken out separately.
Okay,
For this building, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah, we'll see it here in a minute. I can't recall the code at the moment.
okay.
But, yeah, you can keep going. Yeah. Yeah, the street lights are, I don't know, $500 or $600 a month. It's interesting. We receive more money in franchise fees from Blue Bonnet than we spend in electricity. So I guess it's the same way with the cable company and all of that. Keep going.
It's on 59. And then 59.
Do you see it
Yeah, keep going. It's a little bit further.
for the utilities?
Yeah.
Okay.
On could you back up a little bit? There was meals and local, like where travel expenses was? Travel and, where was it? Meals and local. What's the local?
I don't know.
Okay,
That's a formal term. It's in the budget.
okay.
Yeah, most of the time it's gonna be local travel. That's a required part of the job that is reimbursable, so. Most of that's it's kind of a expense account, so if the chief needs to take the sheriff to lunch, smooth over some things to get some better support during the hours where we might not have coverage. It's a local travel expense account that he can probably take the sheriff to lunch once every 6 months, which
Okay.
is a whole lot. I
Okay.
think we're talking hundreds of dollars of, very small money.
Okay.
Mary Alice is gonna go to I don't know what you call it, just a training
Mhm.
in December. And it's really very inexpensive. So it's $150 for the class for 5 days and $200 for lodging. They've
Wow.
done a special deal for them through the state government.
Now, I've got a training thing in October, but it's in San Marcos, so I don't have to travel.
Right.
Okay. You can keep going.
So there's grounds maintenance, that's the parks.
No, that's vacant lots and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roadside.
Yeah.
Right away, yeah.
Right away.
When under the new budget report, starting next fiscal year, as this budget gets put in, you see that nomenclature 10 dash, that prefix number 10, those are things that are going to start signifying where in the budget you're looking, kind of like department codes. And so 10 right now kind of serves as a general area for us. And as we get this next budget updated, you're going to see things like parks having their own prefix as its own department, so to speak, and other items. you can see like, for example, here, elections, that's a artifact from, 12-XXX. That's a artifact from the software we're using. We're going to be deactivated as we go into this next one. But you, in our public safety 16 dash, that's our police officers and stuff. So we can dive deeper into those issues, and as we come out with the next year's first financial report, it'll be a lot cleaner than what you're seeing this
Yeah,
year.
every one of these line items should have a budget next to it if
Yeah.
we did it right. All right. Keep going. Vehicle repairs. I think we've got some more of that coming.
Yeah, the AC went out of the Explorer.
Is it back on the road again?
No, it's still in the shop. They're only using one car right now.
Well, I knew that. I was-
Keep going.
I don't even know how much it costs to fix an air conditioner in a vehicle.
20, what was that? That's like a
Probably
Couple
finance.
thousand
It's
dollars.
Court, that's
You
right.
gotta have it. It's so
Yes.
freaking hot.
All right, keep going.
It's like a couple $1,000.
AC. Man, that's real close.
Well, and it's not like you can rent
Here's
a
your parts
vehicle,
right here.
to replace it. So
51,
Mhm.
how old is that vehicle?
grounds maintenance, equipment,
It's
contractual, keep going.
7 years old.
That's pretty good.
22,165.
It's a 17.
Mm.
Okay,
What's
enterprise,
excuse me, equipment expense, 2,800.
what is that?
It's in the park, I guess,
Yeah, I mean,
2,800.
you want to know what it is?
Yeah, I mean.
Texas disposal porta potties, it looks like.
Tools. so-
$103 and $166 monthly.
Oh, so that's under tools and heavy equipment?
Because it's probably be coded as an equipment rental, but we might look at getting those costs reallocated. This is one of those things that was making the budget process difficult, is things like this where it's the right question to ask. Is a porta potty a tool or heavy equipment? No, but it's an equipment rental in a certain respect. In my mind, more of a service. And so we want to capture that as a contracted service instead of an equipment expense. And so,
Because you do have contractual service for 5,000 there though.
That's AJ,
yeah, that's likely AJ's.
that's the main.
Okay, yeah, if you could clean that up a little, it wouldn't be as confusing on that tools.
The 5,000 is, it's not AJ, it's a bunch of
The mowing people,
Blaine Murphy, Tommy Futch, Texas Disposal, Blue Bonnet Electric.
this is the carryover from before the conversion.
Yeah.
Well, I'd still be curious to see what that tools and heavy equipment is, and then if you've got all the contractual services for 5,000. Thank you.
All right, next enterprise activities, that's gonna be utility. Expenses there. Payroll stuff. Total, 663,000 expense. Going. All right, now go to the next one, should be utility fund. So this one, our utility revenue you see is 88%, so that looks right on, tracking just perfectly for 11 months. I'm down to expenses and see how that's going. Looks like you see the bottom line of the utility fund, looks like we brought in more than we spent through August.
Good job, Pete.
These are special revenue funds, hotel taxes, sales tax that's dedicated to street repair, parking revenue,
There's the rest of the court.
yeah, board.
So that's, I know, 32. That brings us on at 75 for the year, right?
Yeah.
That'll be our biggest shortfall. But
And
the bridge,
sizable.
yeah, be 50, be 40, 40 something, 45.
Okay. I don't remember if we got those payments made for the two festivals in August or if those happened in September.
Reflecting the cash balance, though.
Yeah. Was it? So there's where we've spent designated monies. So. It's an account of the special revenue fund, you've got community development fund, grants. Got about $35,000 yesterday, grant money, and immediately wrote the designated checks out for that.
They were done in September.
What's up?
They were done in September, like the first week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they're not gonna be in here.
So that is the report.
Okay, are there any questions on the report?
I just have one. So does any of the property tax go to fixing the roads?
Yes.
Yes, we get funded, and are you talking about in the 2024 budget or the
Yeah.
upcoming? Yeah, the 2024 budget. I think combined, it was roughly $40,000 between sales tax revenues and general fund revenues that would be going to the roads. We've spent a large portion of that. We're going to get pretty close to spending on target for that one, based on what I remember saying in July.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to the wastewater.
Okay. For the May of August, for the month of August, we had no issues with the lift stations. It was running pretty good. And at the plant, we recirculated the effluent, we had more air ponds for the heat, produces more algae and stuff, so we gotta add more air.
Yeah.
To the ponds. We also collected the monthly BOD sample, checked the pH daily. And we recorded the influence readings and calculated the flow in the incoming cell system. And we check all the ponds daily as well. Checked all the wiring on the control panels and the controls. Right now we have about maybe 2 feet of treatment ponds right now. I started irrigating it again this month because it was kind of wet. We had a wet August, so got saturated.
Rain wet now.
No, it's like a second summer again. And we irrigated about 38,574 gallons. I located a sewer line up there for the water department at 505 Northwest Rural. Basically, they had a water leak. So we needed assistance there.
But it was a water leak, it wasn't a sewer leak, was it?
No, made sure it wasn't.
Yeah, I know.
You would have heard from me.
Yeah, Steve, that I did about 2.5 months.
Yeah, there was a wet spot. It's,
Yeah, I can tell him.
yeah. Yeah,
He
it's
said,
too-
you're saying it was sewer. I'm like, no, sewer doesn't rise like that, no.
no, it's too deep. The line's too deep.
Yeah.
And then the lateral line from that customer there, it was clear.
What are you surprised the water company always does that?
And, I'm not gonna mention anything down here about the.
That's a good point.
About the
I do have a
lift.
question on that. So I know in near the end of August, a few weeks ago, you had submitted a quote for the Crockett lift station.
Correct.
Did we get any follow-on quotes? Did I happen to miss any emails?
I'm
or did we
expecting
just have
two,
one?
I'm expecting two more.
Okay, all right. So I wasn't sure if I just missed it. Or something.
Yes, as soon as I get them, I'll get them to you.
All right, and then we'll likely bring them to council soon thereafter.
Okay.
Now that we have the final engineering plans for that grant project, we know what's in, what's out. We can come in and get these pipes repaired 2 years after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you made it in.
We,
You mean the pipes repaired at the lift station or
Yeah.
on Southeast Road?
lift station.
They Crockett lift station. We pumped, from the plant, to the plant, we pumped up 1,161,150 gallons. For the month of August, and then we averaged about 38,705 gallons per month, per day. And the max flow was 142,800 gallons. That's between 3 days, Friday to Sunday. And the
Sure.
minimum flow was about 6,225. This is the irrigation report. We, like I said earlier, we pumped about 38,000 gallons, 38,574 gallons. And we, the minimum flow, the minimum irrigation was 7,400 gallons. And the max was about 26,000. And the average came out to about 12,854. And the acre feet was about 0.11.
How does summer affect the pH balances on, it's on the report?
It's been pretty good.
Okay.
It's been in the,
I know for a while it was.
yeah, it was, because, yeah, it's a long story. I'll tell you the story one day.
Hey, real quick, is that chemical you put for the sludge? Is
That's
that?
something I was gonna bring up probably next meeting, I guess.
Okay.
Because, y'all need to make a decision on that. You don't want to purchase some more.
Do you think it's worth the money? What's your
Let me
experience?
discern a little bit more about it.
All right, thank you. I want to put you on the spot.
Yeah. And, that's all I got. Unless you all have any other questions.
So you looked at the sewer lines at the new Taco Felice, the building, their building, didn't you inspect that
I
or?
did, the only thing that I expected was the sewer tap. Anything beyond that, that's on them.
But you did,
Yeah, let's go.
but you did notice the tank, the septic
Yeah,
tank in
I
there,
was
so
gonna ask you what
kudos to you.
what happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
No, they took it out.
They did.
Yeah,
That was a real-
yeah.
They didn't want to do anything about it.
Is there any way
The chief verified that it was out.
That's good.
to get the pack and sack on that sewer line since we're there? I mean, they're on a septic tank and a leach field right there behind the store and.
A while back, we talked about that, me and Jared and Robert Davini, I think at that time, it was a while back. And there is a line there that we discovered there. And we could go one day and dig back further out to see how far it extends out toward the store. We
Yeah.
might be able to drop it in.
It'd be nice.
It'd be on the owner at this point. They're not
Yeah.
required to connect.
You have to ask, yeah,
Okay,
but I know Steve Von Mill had a big word about it because of the nitrate levels in wastewater. It affects its groundwater.
Mhm. Okay.
It seems pretty dry. I've seen it dry all the time.
Yeah, it hasn't been ponding like it used to.
Remember,
Yeah, you,
when it rained, it would make a big mess.
Yeah, it'd be wet back there.
He will, putting the barriers up and keeping the trucks from driving back
Yeah.
there has really, really helped.
But if y'all ever want to do that, there's a line there. Discovered.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, Pete.
And I talked to Mr. Brooks. That showed him the ground stuff for the cutting of the wastewater plant. I don't know if he talked to you or not,
The Brooks about,
but cutting the grass at the wastewater plant.
oh,
okay.
yes. We
Booker.
talked, Mr. Booker,
Robert Booker.
Robert
He's a real
Booker,
nice guy. I talked to him the other day.
and we talked to him.
Okay, so,
I think he's gonna go forward, but
okay, that's good. Yeah, he was a real nice guy. He's kind of a reasonable guy. Showed him all the things around the plant, so then we'll get hit.
The only thing that was one of the sticking points, and we're going to reach back out to the engineer, and I think he mentioned to you or talked to you about it, is using some sort of herbicide to kill all the plants
Yeah,
on the
I
ponds.
told
And
him you gotta be careful.
afraid of what that would do to the
Yeah,
biology within the ponds.
yeah. And also I told him that, when the wind's real strong, gotta be careful, because it blows into adjacent property,
Mhm.
It kills something that,
And the birds, there's a lot of birds there
it's
too.
not a wildlife. That's one way you can tell when your plant is healthy. You see a lot of turtles and wildlife. So,
A lot of snakes, a lot of snakes.
Yes, snakes.
Good stuff.
They're down there. Yeah. Anything else?
No, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Okay.
Peter.
Okay, we're ready for the police report.
Somebody read each one of these documents out loud. Good evening, everybody. I'll start with what we have up there now. Is that cost?
Patrol activities.
That's a cost for services.
I can, yeah, I can move it.
So I was up patrol activities last month, and for the month of August, we had 44 parts checks, 24 calls for service. We had 1 offense report, 3 crash reports, and 3 incident reports. Some of those were, that 1 crash report was a DWI, and everything else with that, and there was a lot of people involved in that vehicle, so that was that. We had wrote 145 violations last month. Went over a bunch of those different violations, what they are: defective equipment, disregard traffic control devices, expired registration, so forth, failed to secure child in a safety seat, 83 speeding citations. Disregard no passing and passing certain vehicles, there were 6. Driving without a license or invalid license, 14. We've been getting a lot of those lately.
Really?
And failed to maintain financial responsibility, that's no insurance, 8 of those. 2 possession of drug paraphernalia. The code enforcement report. There was 10 citizen contacts, 1 vehicle violation. We requested 2 summons to come to court on the status of those, and we'll have those hearings, what we talked about, y'all talked about earlier in the meeting. 5 grass or weed violations and 2 reports written, and those go along with the summons requested.
And just for city council's awareness, we're looking to schedule planning and zoning hearing on substandard structures in the month of October, if we can make the calendars work. So be on the lookout for that.
We've been working on those and identifying the ones we're gonna go after.
Because we gotta do a bunch to make it cost effective.
On these, this is not a court activity. This is more of a it's under the planning and zoning board, and so there's no attorney involvement here. It's basically us providing notice that they're in violation, coming to the board and them saying, I'm aware I'm in violation. Here's what I'm going to do to fix it. It's just a way to spur activity without a lot of, frankly, there's not a lot of legal consequence or immediate legal consequence, but it starts.
But there's no teeth in it, basically.
There is, if eventually as you play the process out,
Yeah.
but it's not like the same thing of going to the district court and getting an injunctive,
It's a nicer way.
relief or something.
This is
Yeah.
also a nicer way of doing it.
It's within our sphere of control without taking it to a court necessarily. So it gives us an opportunity to be neighborly about the issues and develop a better understanding of what's going on as we progress in our enforcement activity.
So, want to bring up Tuesday, October 1st is National Night Out.
It's on the pink sheet.
It's for the whole state of Texas. What I was hoping is that our communities would, our neighborhoods would have the block parties, what National Night Out is all about, so that you get to know your neighbors. I haven't seen any communities, any of the neighborhoods setting up their own, so we're gonna set up our, again, like we did last year here at City Hall, and invite everybody down.
Tuesday, when?
October
October
1st.
1st.
October 1st. That's right on the corner.
And I've talked to
What time?
Emily
What time?
across the street,
I bet my neighborhood would
We're
do
gonna
a,
do it
5:30.
5:30 till everybody decides to go home. Yeah, 8:30.
That's Tuesday, right?
It's a Tuesday. And I've talked to Emily across the street. They have a setup for cooking hamburgers and stuff. And so they're gonna help us with that.
Awesome.
So the ultimate goal is to have as many neighbors come in, you want to meet your neighbors and so forth. It should be for the communities to have it set up, and then we go around and visit their block parties is what it's called.
But if they have concerns, they can communicate with the police.
Correct. So, but they're not having one, they're not, I haven't seen any block parties set up, so.
There you go,
downtown,
chief.
so. Other thing we're working on, there's been some new laws that went into effect. And it required us to create a bunch of different policies, required every police agency in the state, every single agency in the state to create new policies and so forth. I've been working on a policy and procedure manual for the police department. This is basically it in a nutshell. Right now, so I'm going through it. This is what we created. It's in accordance with all the laws and current laws and then everything that is required by law that came out from the state legislature and passed down to us. So we got all those and just get it enacted here pretty quick. And some of them already enacted, but just to make sure that we're all following. This is policy and procedure, so it also tells the guys, hey, you got to do this when you get this particular thing. For example, photo lineups, for identification of a person. There's rules on that. So you just got the procedures on how to go about that each and every time. You just can't show someone pictures, hey, this is the guy you saw doing that. That's old school and it's not the way it works. So
So did you have to create that from scratch or you just added changes?
so some of them were model policies that are required by law that were written by the legislature and says you have to follow this.
I mean, did the police department have it and you just modified it or you had to create
He
it?
created it.
I had to
Okay.
create all this.
He's been working on it for a year.
And then it came out, I was working on it, I almost had it done, we're ready to implement it, and then the legislature came out with, there's about 7 or 8 new ones that you gotta come in, and so some of them changed everything that I had written. Or just added to, it didn't really change it, it just added to, you gotta go in there and use that verbiage and so forth, so. It's not a bad thing, it's just time consuming. And, pretty much, anybody got any questions?
Yeah, did you have something to do with that, Quail Run and, Highway 80 intersection being finally mowed and weed eated?
So called TxDOT, we got with them several times. So the way that works is that's under contract is the way they explained it to me. So all of Highway 80 is under a contract and they have contracts and they got so many times that contract is to be fulfilled throughout the year. What happened is we had a lot of rain events early on and it made that grass grow really high before the contract time was here. So we called and said, hey, can y'all come and really get on this as quick as you can? Because it's really dangerous, not only at Quail Run and 80, but also 1979 and 80. There were some other roads that needed to be addressed as well. And some people's private driveways as well, coming out there, it's dangerous. So we contacted TxDOT and they sort of rushed us up a little bit on the contract time and got out there as quick as they could. Not as quick as I'd have liked, but they got out there as quick as they could. With their contracting.
Hey, why don't they have a little crew with some weed eaters just do a little, well, I'm not the state, but instead of on the whole thing, do the intersection. But that's just common sense. Cause that's a bad spot. I'll leave it at that.
It is, but that's what I was explaining that they have a contract for that. Let me talk about the burn.
Yes,
Okay, so
please.
been working with TCEQ on a couple of issues. The issue down there about the hazmat, and we're just waiting on the test results to come back from that, and I think everything's fine. It's all cleaned up and gone.
Material's gone off the site.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so, but when working, so we put this brush from the severe weather event we had. We piled all that brush over here we collected from everywhere, and we were gonna burn it. Well, TCEQ requires a permit. And so we're a city and we're required to have a permit. And so we're trying to go through the inspection process and do it right. Learned just today, by waiting for them to come inspect our spot, that we also have to have the county judge's permission to burn even inside our property, but we'll get that. We're gonna work on that and get it all squared away Monday. And you guys will probably see an ordinance written. I'll work with the mayor and everyone to get an ordinance written that'll give us the authority to say when we can burn. We just got to have an ordinance that says, hey, the city is going to be in compliance with the Texas Clean Air Act. And what that is, that allows us to burn every other month on that property, whatever. The reason being, I checked on that. I said, hey, any citizen can burn anytime without a permit. Why do we have to? Well, because we collect everybody's stuff. It's not just some stuff that you have at your house or that you accumulated at your house. It's stuff that we collected from everybody. So we create a bigger pile, we'll create more smoke, we'll create more stuff for the air. And so that's why they require us to be in compliance with Texas Clean Air Act. And that's basically what our policy will say, or our ordinance will say, that we're gonna be in compliance with Texas Clean Air Act, and we're gonna fire on our own city property and so forth.
And we use it, say in the future, we, you know, that we clean up our parks and we have could we use that same ordinance? Make it kind of a blanket thing, so when we start clearing the gravel pit over by the Cochran property that we own, like.
There's different rules for if we're just burning our own stuff versus this
That'd be our
stuff
own
was
stuff. Okay,
collected
so-
from
but
the
we can make
store.
it-
Citywide cleanup. Oh, no.
We
No,
we
from
could,
the store.
we could do both though, have it for both.
So if you clean up a particular lot, right, let's just say this parking lot here, we want to clean it up and it has some trees on it, and we want to get rid of that brush, we could burn that there on spot without having any issue.
Permit with
Without that.
TZQ.
If we haul in stuff from other
Gotcha.
properties,
Gotcha.
then we have to abide by a permit
Okay.
and burn once.
So if
every
we
2
burn
months.
on the actual property, no problem. We leave it on. Okay, unless you got a burn ban.
Correct.
Thank you.
I had a question about the judge before, and he had mentioned there's a lot of outstanding warrants. Now, is that something that the judge works on, or do you work with the judge? Or how are we gonna approach all those 1,000 warrants or whatever they said that we had outstanding?
So if we run across someone that has a municipal warrant, we will address that at the time when we run across that person. Currently, there's nothing that gives us a list that says Sam Clinton has a outstanding municipal warrant. So we don't have anything that would say that. We're working with the courts, and I guess we'll work with the new court and a new judge and everything that says, hey, this is out there. This is how, we know that this is a warrant. There's some, so the system that we currently have, CopSync, that we currently use, it will allow, us to enter those warrants into that system. It's for a fee. Everything costs money. So it's just another fee that we would have to pay to be able to enter all those warrants into that system. We're the only ones that would, people on CopSync are the only ones that would see that. So Caldwell County's on CopSync. So if they stop someone in Lockhart and see that Martindale has a municipal warrant, then we need to get it. The other issue with municipal warrants are they have to be available. If you enter them into a system like that, someone has to be able to pull that warrant 24/7. Because if they stop that person at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, then someone has to be here and say, hey, I have a hard copy of that warrant. And deliver that to them.
Is there a statute of limitations on those warrants?
Not once a warrant's issued, there's statute of limitation on classic misdemeanors, there's statute of limitation on all crimes, but, except for big ones, but, no, once a warrant's issued, it's still good. I mean, so at some point in time, you want them to roll off. You don't want to keep a warrant. You don't want to get somebody after 10, 12 years on hey, you were speeding through Martindale 10, 12 years ago. Here you owe this. They have another means of doing this. Our courts work with DPS and the licensing. So if they have some outstanding stuff, they put that on your license and say, hey, you cannot renew your license. Thus, all these people driving with invalid license because they can't go get their license because they have
Oh, so
outstanding warrants.
so that could possibly be done if we have outstanding warrants.
That is done.
That is
So
done.
that is done. That portion's done. And so a lot of people don't go and get their, they can't go with their driver's license renewed because they have an outstanding warrant in Martindale, Texas. So they got to come take care of that warrant, show that they took care of it before they get their license renewed. That's why you run across a lot of people with outstanding warrants
And no license.
and no license.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve,
Thanks for working on that manual. That's a big job.
good job, chief.
Okay, the parks, I don't see anybody from the parks, but at the very end of, on your iPad and up there, the Parks Advisory Board is recommending that we purchase some signs with this design. So they've already went to Pathmark, had the sign designed, and want to know if the city council loves it.
Well, we didn't put styrofoam. Hate to be a party pooper,
Styrofoam?
but it needs to be styrofoam, is a real problem. We need to have, can we do that?
Styrofoam's a pretty long word. Probably costs more money.
I would view this sign as more of a public service announcement signage than any sort of ordinance violation, warning, rules of the park kind of signage. So as it would be a public service, sure, why not? I mean, that's feedback we could give to the Parks Advisory Board for sure.
Well, and when I looked at it, I also thought about plastic bottles.
Mhm.
Well, styrofoam is actually, in my opinion, is probably worse in a lot of respects than cans.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah,
These kind of visual signs are probably a lot better. I understand what you're saying, but it'd be back to where we are to square one with having so much verbiage on there. that
Nobody
no
wants to
one's
read
gonna
it. Mhm.
That's the problem we're having right now, that we have so much verbiage on our signs that no one takes. the time.
They can still have cans and glass in the park, they're just not like a rip way up for it. This kind of implies that they can't have it at all.
So perhaps well, okay, but
Well, that would be nice.
I'm
if
okay
they-
with, because I'm tired of.
That would be nice if they thought that.
I know, I'm tired of picking up the stuff,
Mm.
you know, myself.
I'm just saying, because I do a lot of river cleanup, styrofoam is absolute, well, absolute. Right by.
There's a silhouette of a reflective styrofoam with strong on it. You could put that on there, just add it.
Could we do that?
You suggested what we do, can, glass and foam, right? You said foam.
Can, glass, and foam.
Can, glass and foam, do not, right now.
I'll take anything I can get right now. 6-foot foam, I'm totally flexible.
You say that in like,
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Not single-use container, that's too confusing.
yes.
Just a suggestion.
Okay. No, that looks pretty good.
well, what do you want us to go back to the,
Well,
They're
we've already got,
meeting
we've
on
already
it.
got them ordered, don't worry.
no, they don't have
I
them
would-
ordered.
Okay, I would like,
In fact, I just threw a figure out there of like, they said, well, how many should we get? And I'm like, well, I don't know how many we need. How about 20? And so they don't have to get that many, but they did get a bid from Pathmark. So it'll be $390 for 20 of these signs from
could we,
Pathmark.
could we just add styrofoam to it? I mean, is that possible?
We could ask them to redesign it.
Just,
Is
I
it
mean,
thought that we put them on T-posts and all along the riverbank or?
Yeah, that was
20
my
20
next question.
20 seems like quite a few to me.
Well,
I thought,
We put them underneath the park mobile signs where they park. We already have a post there.
Yeah, three-
There
And
we go.
phase one, right, Sam, there's 6 or 7 posts along right before they get down to phase one, so there's 6 there. We can put them underneath the park mobile.
So I'm a little confused here. Have we ordered the signs with that
No.
design?
No,
So
no.
we
This
could,
is the design.
It's
This
just a
is
big-
what
could we
they're,
add that to I would like to add it.
ask the Parks Department to redesign the sign.
Just
And glass and foam.
the sign's great, just add a little styrofoam cup and can band and styrofoam.
I won't be here next week.
I'll tell
I
them.
would appreciate that.
I can
There-
send him an email.
There's a
Everybody-
meeting on
does the
Monday.
council- Does the council agree with me on that?
There's
I
a
think
Parks
that's
Advisory
important.
meeting on Monday, I think.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
is it
If you
Monday or
want to come, Mike,
Tuesday?
on Monday.
Remind me, because I mean, I've done enough river cleanups. I mean, styrofoam breaks down to like these fine particles. It's almost
Yeah.
impossible to get them out. They degrade. It's a real problem. So
It's the most
Okay.
difficult thing to pick up.
it is, and well, eventually you can't get it out.
Well, and Pathmark worked this out for them, so I think if we went back to Pathmark and said, okay, city
Can we add
council
foam?
wants to add the phone, because they haven't been done yet.
Just add is that okay with you guys? Just add the foam and put a little styrofoam. cup.
I think that works.
Yes,
To get
Yeah.
more creative.
Yeah,
Everybody agrees with me?
yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
That's not
You're
gonna
the
happen
river
very
guy.
often, so you better do that, right? And everybody agrees with him?
okay.
Just kidding with him, Mike.
No problem, man. I got thick skin. I've been doing this a long time.
I typed it out,
The option is cans, glass and foam, keep that at home.
There you go. Keep that at home.
We like it.
Take it.
Okay.
They got emojis that have.
There you go.
You can get rid.
However you want it, just so it's on there. I don't care.
All right, we're gonna go into public comments.
So we have Mary Beth Harper as our first one, topic library, and then we have a total of 3. So Mary Beth Harper first.
No, you can stand.
You can sit down, sir.
Anyway, first of all, I want to thank the city council for the budget. You have included the library in there. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, on the library events, got the River Appreciation Festival this weekend. The library has got all kinds of fun things. Okay, first of all, the Mermaid Day in Marquette, from 4 to 5 on Saturday. We have 3 mermaids. They'll be here. They'll read stories. They'll be in costume. And they'll do some crafts activity. And from 5 to 6, the library will have several science exhibits. Okay, GBRA has loaned us their huge watershed model. And it shows pollution. I had
Oh,
this-
wow.
No cell phone. It does show dog food and cat food. It does show, pollution and what happens when it gets into the environment. Also, the Edwards, your wildflower seeds on your table there, that can be.
Yeah.
They drop resistant black size, too.
They're wildflowers.
They're
Yes,
wildfire.
they would be dropping. So go ahead.
Okay, anyway, Edwards Aqua Research Center, microscopes and you get to view things from the river and also from the aquifer.
Oh,
And
how
also there's lots
fun.
of freebies in addition to the wildflower seeds, all kinds of free things. And also a lot of craft activities for children. And then on Saturday, October 19th, from 10 to 12, we have our Fall Family Festival. And it's gonna be across over there in that grassy area. Right now, we have a bounce house and a lot of other things for children. And this is funded by St. David's Foundation. And then on Saturday, November 16th, there's this World Art Day, and it's art education for children. And this is from the Save the Children grant. And guess what? Martinville is an art desert. I didn't know that. Okay, the children have no way, unless they get it in school, they don't have the education in theater, dance, music. So on. And again, there's nothing here, well, other than you have to pay to listen to the music. Okay, on Friday, December 6th, that's the downtown tree lighting. And Santa will ride through the neighborhoods, hand out treat bags. The library will have letters to Santa and other activities.
My gosh, that's
We'll
coming
have
up already.
vendors set up stores, things going on inside there. Then library has a grant to teach young children all the skills they need to enter kindergarten. This is the Save the Children grant. This is on Thursdays from 11 to 12. And they'll learn colors, numbers, letters, shapes, and so on, so they get ready for kindergarten. Then, let's see. We have our food pantry, we're a satellite of the Caldwell County Food Bank. If you know someone who needs food, tell them it's free, they can just go get whatever they want to out there. And also some people, they can come and buy, donating, and just putting stuff in there, we appreciate that. Also, there's a matter of balance classes, that falls, we do, like maybe fall, break things. And this will starting in October. And this will be Wednesdays from 10:30 to 12:30. And after that, and this will be 413 Main Street. And after that, you can go to the
10:30 to 12:30? 2 hours?
Yeah.
For a class?
Wow.
You sit in a chair. If I can do it anyway.
It just seems long for a class.
It's volunteer, yeah. It runs for 8 weeks, and this is the Area Agency on Aging, and also the Capital Area Council of Government is pays for this. And then
Scared me.
this one is looking for volunteers, if you know anybody that's got extra time and loves books, we would love to have, you don't have to love us.
You just gotta be able to alphabetize them.
Not even you have to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harker.
Next one is, Michael L. Steiner. Topic ETJ.
We're your neighbors to the south,
All right.
and so I don't know if anybody needs a last copy.
Here, I'll take one.
But, you know, this meeting reminds me of the quaintness of this town, right? I mean, for 100 years, you guys have kind of quaintly run Sleepy Hollow. And unfortunately, there's events occurring south of the river that, if you ask me, I would argue are basically going to make everybody in this room obsolete. If they put 4,500 to 6,000 houses on the south side of the river, they own Martindale. And Martindale will no longer exist as a city or as a town or whatever you want to call yourselves this week. And so I moved back here with my kids to raise them here because I wanted to have Americana. I've got the old Bowerschlag estate. Mona has the adjacent. And it terrifies us that I didn't realize until I received an email and a phone call from a guy. And I was all excited. So I was like, oh, this is great. I've been trying to reach you because I've got some land on I-10 and I want to do a 1031 exchange and get, you know, Dr. Miner's 109 acres right behind me. And the guy goes flat out, we don't do this. We have to have at least 200 acres for it to be economically viable for tract houses. And so there's no way we're going to break that parcel up. And that's the parcel that has the pipeline through it, has the power lines through it. I mean, you would argue it's the least economically viable for residential development. And yet, you know, he's paying 32,000 an acre for highly impacted. You know,
Is that contract good? Is it going through?
It's supposed to go through next month, is what he was saying. He wanted to buy my place, obviously.
What's his name?
It's there. It's on the email. The very front page. He sent me that email and followed me. And, you know, him and I don't necessarily see eye to eye, obviously.
Where do you know where he's out of? Do you know?
Austin.
Okay.
They don't even need the damn money. You know, they're just, they organize the land to be able to then sell it as large tract house plots. And if you look at that back one, if they're successful in getting Salinas's and any one of the adjacent parcels, they'll be able to put in at least 4,500, probably closer to 6,000 houses. And they will have subdivision access from 1979, from 621 and from Skull Road. They'll probably rename Skull Road. But,
Real quick, can Crystal Clear supply that much water?
they're not planning on developing it for 5 to 7 years. You know, he's trying to assemble the parcels now to be able to then, once the further development comes this way, to then be able to sell it. If you think about it, for that amount of acreage, they're gonna spend about $1 billion to do 6,000 houses. They'll make $1.5 billion.
They're gonna have to have sewer treatment plant. They're gonna have to have water.
Well, if you saw what they did with the River Bend stuff in the city of San Marcos, you know, they were successful in basically being able to appeal to the state to be able to build their own, right? I mean, San Marcos fought them for years and lost. So I hate to be you're our salvation, right? We're in your ETJ. If you can't save us, and it really involves Guadalupe County, and I think it comes down to an issue of planning commissions and enforcing zoning or not relenting in zoning. But quite frankly, if they're able to assemble all that land, they're just gonna pay people to run for your office and just vote you out and get their people in there to be able to approve this stuff. So I'm very sorry that this big town issue comes to this wonderful little small town. I mean, I spent my whole life trying to get a parcel where I could live in a, you know, kind of a little Americana community. And the idea of them ripping it away from us is just not real, you know, not real happy about it, as you would gather. So I don't know what steps y'all need to start now. I'm not a land expert, but I can tell you, this guy's ambition ain't 200 acres. It's to get all the miners' property, Salinas's property, and one of the adjacent ones to allow them to have a contiguous, you know, 700, 800, 900 acre. facility.
Where's your property at?
I'm Shiner, so I'm there,
In the corner.
straight down.
Right
So-
here, 56518.
So I'm right here, next to Salinas, and then Mona and the Deckers are here. Now Ray has his airfield here
Gotcha.
adjacent to it, so that may be something, given that he's got an airfield.
Right, yeah.
But
Well,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you,
Been there 20 years.
if they can de-annex from the ETJ now, the state passed a law last year that lets anyone de-annex. But more than likely, their plan is, it's gonna be outside our jurisdiction completely.
it's not now.
There's there's nothing we can do to stop the sale of a piece of property, I don't think, unless you have some
I
suggestion.
don't think there's anything you do to stop it. What you can do is adhere to the zoning that you have that's within that ETJ that you control.
Of course, but they have not approached the cities as far as I can see, right? No,
I don't want to get too far off the agenda.
Yeah.
If there's questions
Yeah.
about that, I can
Yep.
take them individually offline.
but there is a mechanism for them to just de-annex, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, they're clever folks, right? I mean, but that's what they're doing. So for what
I
they do
appreciate
with,
you letting us know.
with Dr. Minor is they told him, you know, you can continue to farm for 5 to 7 years or something like that. It's gonna take them a while to assemble all your.
Yeah.
But, that's what's coming.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention. Yes,
If they de-annex that area and we're on the other side of it, and we want to be in your ETJ, we can't be in your ETJ anymore. Because we're not in
Yes,
a
you can.
contiguous thing.
ETJ is more or less discretionary on the property owner's behalf at this point. So if you
Correct.
want to be, you can be. If you don't want to be,
Yeah, but I
You're allowed
thought
to
you had
not
to
be.
be with a contiguous property in the ETJ. Because the way I understood it was San Marcos is over here and that little piece of property in between Mike and us. There's 20 acres. He didn't want to be in Martindale's ETJ. When I looked at your map years ago, he wasn't, and he was still in San Marcos.
at this
So-
stage, that property is likely in neither jurisdiction's ETJ based off a ETJ settlement agreement the city had with San Marcos sometime back.
So are we in your ETJ or no?
As long as you continue to want to be.
So if we
Yeah.
choose not to be. But.
That would be San Marcos.
we,
well, I guess
during
if we
public
not, right,
comments,
I mean,
we really are not supposed to engage.
Yeah, that's all right.
Right, I mean, I understand
We're getting
not
off-
getting legal
yeah,
advice.
'cause-
Yeah,
yeah.
we're not seeking legal advice.
So, but thank you for bringing it to our attention and we'll be happy to talk to you about it if you want. to
We would
come
like
down.
it for the planning commission. What I would request is that the planning commission could examine this or, you know, get this onto their radar, given that it's, you know,
Yeah,
because it's not, you know, unfortunately, it's coming.
What's
yes.
the airport there? I mean.
If you,
six
if you
houses
contacted your county commissioner,
and
What's
one
that?
acre next to it.
if you contacted your Guadalupe County Commissioner,
No, not yet. I mean, I found out about it, you know, like last Friday or something. Maybe it was Monday.
I saw it.
Yeah, and she found out when my wife went over and talked, you know, went over to return some honey jars. So, you know, but this whole kind of rural, provincial, you know, it's, no, none of us want it, you know, you guys don't want it either.
No,
And if they don't, remove themselves as to a separate entity. I don't see how the body of people who constitute Martindale proper.
There's no
If the landowner wants to petition to be part of Martindale city limits, that's really the only way to extend our
I got a
regulations.
quick
at this
question
stage.
for you. So I may be in a position to be able to buy Salinas. So if my place, and if I asked to be part of the city of Martindale and Salinas did, the Salinas being in between us with the Skulls having the extended piece, what would, that's the kind of discussion we'd like to have with planning.
Yeah, we'll
I
we'll
mean,
have
these
to
guys
have-
aren't dumb, but neither are we.
Yeah,
So
yeah, come in and talk to us. We'll have to
Yeah. We'll
make
say,
some.
I have no problem putting a proud city of Martindale sticker on the front of my, mailbox.
Thank you. Who's our next speaker, Deanna?
Sam Clinton. Yeah. Year-end park details and cemetery maintenance is the topic.
Thank you. I hate to have my back to you guys, but I'm gonna go right over here. You're at the end of the fiscal year of our parks now, as of the end of September. I have a couple of purchases that I would like to speak about. The city, in the past has purchased 15 yards of fall protection mulch for the playground. So I would like to get 15 more yards of that. It's roughly about $880. In the past, Sean McDonald, myself, and Jeff Latimer have spread that mulch out around the swing sets and the playground. So look forward to a volunteer day that'll be coming up to work on putting that mulch down. Also, some of the split rail fence pieces in Guardiola Park are broken. I need to go to McCoy's and buy some corner posts and some of the split rail pieces themselves. Also, I'll be buying a few bags of concrete, or the city will, so I can make a small concrete pad for the metal trash can that I want to install in Guardiola Park. Recently, I have also now branched out my volunteer efforts to the cemetery. I live quite close to it, and so the other day I was weed whacking around headstones. The people that maintain the cemetery are elderly and they push mow it themselves. It's quite a job for the man that does it, that has shingles and some health issues. So I've been trying to help them out a little bit. Some of the headstones there are completely obscured by grass and weeds. Some of the prominent families of Martindale are there, the Harpers, the Holmeses, the Martindales, the Ellisons, the Crooks. They're all there. They're all there, our founding families of our city. The cemetery needs work. The cemetery needs help. There's trees that are dead. Trees are falling down, weed whacking. And we have our local woman here on our street, Pam Roberts, that is in charge of that. I will be speaking to her soon to try and coordinate our group of young fraternal men to perhaps help us there at the cemetery. But more importantly, we need to do a historical accumulation of all the headstones, which there are several that are fallen over face down in the ground off their bases. Some of the headstones are broken and being propped up with other pieces of broken headstones. So let's all get together and make that cemetery look better, work with the people that are in charge of that. It is a privately owned cemetery, so the city is not responsible for anything, but I think we should be a responsible city and try and be a little more responsible about that. So if someone wants to coordinate with me I may even go to the historic committee, and I'll speak to the parks committee as well. Maybe the historic committee can do an inventory of the headstones that are fallen over and broken, because we get people coming from all over the state and from different cities. I see them walking there all the time. There are some headstones there that are quite old, from the 1870s, 1880s. Some are very small and obscured in the ground. So let's get together and work on our parks this month and work on our cemetery. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Do we have any other public comment?
That was it.
Okay, so that's it for public comments. We'll move on to new business. So I'm gonna let Jared, talk about this one.
Yeah, so this is the government window contract. We have their quote associated.
I don't.
Okay. All right, I'll provide the summary of the quote. Basically, did members of the city council, were you able to join the Matthew? Okay. For those who didn't join, what you would
Where
have.
were you, Sam?
I missed it. I'm sorry.
I knew I should have called you.
What
Called me too. I would have done it. I forgot.
11 o'clock during the day.
What you would have seen
Zoom.
is a demonstration of an online payment portal that would be able to handle our utility payments, and court payments, traffic fees, citations, and that provides, an ability for some people to review their bills, pay over the phone through automated service, pay online without touching the city at all, and for a small fee. So it's going to take me a second to quote those, but we have the takeaway is that there's no upfront costs on behalf of the city. All fees, like in the Park Mobile context, are charged to the users of the system. And so in this case, if you're making a credit card payment for utilities, it's a 3% surcharge for that payment to use online. And I think it's equivalent within at least 0.5% of what we currently charge for credit card payments at the utilities.
3%.
Yeah, the court fee is 6%. That's a higher fee because the funds that are paid through their online system are guaranteed to the city. And if there's any dispute after the fact, like somebody pays with their credit card and then immediately calls their credit card company and cancels the transaction, we don't have to deal with that. Those funds are guaranteed to us. But because there's some recovery issues on their part, higher risk on their part, they charge a higher fee for those transactions. And then it's 4% for the building permits transactions. And so we be able to facilitate online payment of building permits. And as we get into a paperless permitting process, there we go. As we get to the paperless permitting process, taking those fees online is going to be even more important. So what we're looking for tonight, and then the terms and conditions are really, you take them or you leave them. You don't really too much have a choice, other than the pricing elements. You want to go to page 2 on that document you have up right now. There you go. That's what I referenced. Really, it's non-negotiable. So if the city wants to do this, this is really a sole source type of scenario because it's the only vendor that we've been able to identify that has previous performance and work experience working with our accounting software. And we've contacted other cities, gotten some reviews that were positive. I don't know. That's when.
Yeah, demo was excellent. The gentleman on the demo out of they showed the example of Round Rock, and if you want them to put a fundraising button on, they'll put a fundraising button on. I mean, basically, what do you want? And they'll do it. So they're very accommodating. Right now, the court, we're charging a $5 flat fee for credit card charges. So obviously, we're taking it in the shorts sometimes on those. Obviously, this is there's a less counting because you don't have to pull it out, right? It's just there. It's like the Park Mobile. We just get a check for ours, right? So that'll be another, separation. We're getting what is ours, and we don't have to pull. You don't have to pull credit card out.
So
that's
the
gonna be a lot better.
percentages are what they charge.
They collect it, it never even comes to us.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about that pulling in, pulling it out type of a thing and rebalancing. That I did in our business, it was always a nightmare. My dad and I, credit cards were always a pain in the butt, and we'd have to separate the Visa, MasterCard, American Express, because all the fees were different. That was our biggest boo-boo at the end of every month was, what did we really collect on it? And because there was always some back charge thing that screwed the whole freaking thing up. So it's a labor intensive process when especially when there's a refund. So, it was a well done system, and they were, like I said, they were very accommodating. What else do you want to do? We talked about Park Mobile. The issue with Park Mobile is only 40 cents is what they're charging the consumer, and the minimum they would do would be $1. So we kind of, okay, that doesn't fit within the model, but it was discussed. So and they were like, yeah, we'll do that. We've done parking before, but they want $1 minimum on a transaction. And he said $10, $10 per is not a big a deal for them, you know? So it really didn't fit in there. They do it, but it would be $1 minimum.
Yeah.
So we do have a backup. So if something happens to Park Mobile, we have a backup.
We could sell merch. We want
Yeah.
Martindale
Yes, you
t-shirts
could.
and things.
And that's what they do for the schools. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing for the Round School. They were doing, every club had their own page within billing, and people could pay for their club fee. The parent could pay for their club fee on the website. That was how it started. And then, of course, as you in that page, oh, by the way, you can also buy this other stuff, the merch, as Jerry just said. It was quite interesting.
And the other thing that it accomplishes is because this system is gonna have hooks into our billing system. Now, utility customers will be able to see not only pay their utility bill online, but they'll be able to see the history of the utility bills online. Which currently, you don't. You just see your balance and any outstanding months. But that's kind of what got us started down this whole track. Getting to the more modern billing system, all of that, all of these credit card things, they're working fine now, but we're trying to bring them to the next level so that people can have better information. So.
On the municipal court side, I know you get daily reports on payments. Like when people pay to the court, what kind of reports do they give to the city then on what kind of a basis?
We'd still be responsible for any financial reporting. They just deposit funds.
How would you know what they've deposited them? I mean, people pay and then.
Well, because it's associated with by the traffic citation or license plate. So they're paying for a known fee. And so we'll be able to reconcile that fee was paid or this ticket was paid. Otherwise, it's going to show up on a warrant list as we kind of talked about.
What do you think, Chief?
Well, I think we should go to it if we need it. I think if we had Senator Reed, and I haven't been to any of these meetings or anything about this whatsoever, but we had all talked about it before, the card swiper, so if we pull someone over on the side of the road and they have the ability now to pay their warrant right then.
So you can incorporate that with the system?
We haven't said anything about mobile units.
There is a methodology for someone to call in and pay.
That is true.
Yeah, so they could log in if they have service, in data
Let me-
service. They can do it on their smartphone by going to the
Education.
website.
So you pull somebody, we have this service, you pull somebody over, they have a warrant, they could call that number and pay over the phone with their.
Yes, they're all automated.
You can let them go on and they're free to go, correct?
Yeah, they need their citation number and their last name.
Yeah.
Just whatever you pick.
Yeah, 2 factors.
Whatever 2 factors that the city wants to use. Citation number obviously was but whatever you give it, they put in the database and that becomes what they retrieve to verify that the party that's making the payment, to make the right payment.
That would be a huge incentive for the person with the warrant to say, oh, you can pay right now. Pay, done, finished, go on your way.
It's a really simple, it's as easy as doing Park Mobile.
So the customer, so the city doesn't pay anything, the customer does.
Yes.
So even to get it all set up, you don't pay anything.
Right.
Well, then what the heck? What are we waiting on?
Make a motion.
Oh, no, then I have to. read
It is a cost to the.
Okay.
Not to the city.
To the people using it.
To people who are using it. So if you want to avoid that cost, there's still options to avoid that cost. We'll still take ACH payments through a sign up form that we have that will have a no fee prepayment of your bills. If you want to pay to the court without a fee, it's money in order, I think it's the only other option.
Which is a fee to
Which
do
is
with
a fee to
money.
that, but courts don't accept cash, so. There's not a lot of.
Yeah, they could still walk in and pay their utility payments. We have a few older people, probably about 10 or 12 a month, that walk in and pay cash.
Well, I'm willing to make a motion.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion to contract with GW for payment solutions. Is that, oh,
I will second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion carries. Thanks for all that work, you guys, and work. Okay, 5.2, discussion and possible action. The chief has asked that we put this on the agenda. It's something that he needs for his handbook.
So this is just really housekeeping. Over the years, we, City of Martindale's had offices and so forth. This is just really a housekeeping, just so that someone come in and say, what did this, your governing body allow you to have? This is what we're allowed to have. It's one chief of police, 2 officers, and we're asking for 5 non-full-time officers. And so it's really just housekeeping to clean up my policy and procedure book. And if someone were to come in and ask, this is what our governing body approved for us. That in a nutshell is housekeeping.
okay, I'll make a motion to account and approve chief of police, 2 full-time police officers and 5 less than full-time police officers.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any other discussion or questions?
Yeah, can you explain briefly what the 5 less than full-time, are those like interns or they're studying? or-
No, those would be reserves. You have to be a full-time,
Reserves.
yeah, you have to be a full, they just don't call them reserves anymore. That's the actual formal official title for reserves.
Uh-huh.
But, so that's what they call them now though. So if we had 5, I don't have to come back to you every single time and ask. So I'm just getting a number up there that I wouldn't have to come back and ask for an additional person. Right now, we just have,
How long
Does
is a
that
person
include-
a reserve?
Code enforcement?
no, this does not include public work. This is for, this is police officers.
Okay,
How long are they like a reserve officer getting? It's like getting training. It's an internship or?
No, not at all. Okay, so these right here have to be completely certified, commissioned officer or certified officers to have academy or something.
Hmm.
Before I would even entertain putting someone on. I would not entertain someone basically as a reserve that just got out of the academy because it's too much of a hassle. And you'll see when I finish my book of what all they're required to do. You have to go through a field training program, 9 months, and there's just a whole bunch of different.
So it's kind of like military reserves, like you're not active unless they need you, right? Okay,
Yeah, that's-
so you're a police officer probably somewhere else. And if Martindale needs you, then they can ask you to.
Yeah, you can hold you can be dual commissioned in the state of Texas now, so you can be a peace officer somewhere and have a commission somewhere else, 2 places.
So like if we have a big event, you might call
I
them
can call them in, correct.
Mhm.
So
Or
what
if
do you need
you-
people to?
Will they bring their own car? Just kidding.
But if we had a flood,
Yeah, if we have a major event that I could, and really, so the rule is, there's all kind of background rules and all this kind of stuff, but, I just couldn't grab somebody and say, hey, you're reserved for me right now. It's gonna anoint you. You gotta go through the whole background procedure and everything else. So these be someone that I have just on standby. This case, I have their commission and so forth. Help. This number is just a number that, so I don't have to come back to you every single time and ask, say, can I add one more to it? Can I add one more? We got it in one place for housekeeping. We got it in one location. We can have that. I can put it in a book. And if someone come and ask, I say, hey, on this particular day, at this particular city council meeting, they approve what we have as for the police department. This is what we have.
Did you like them to all live within a certain radius of Martindale then? I mean, the ones you select, do they live within 30 miles of Martindale? Or, I mean, do you have a criteria for their selection?
It could be. I don't right now. I mean, I don't, I mean, you can add all kind of criteria to it. You know, but mainly your reserves, people that are working less than full-time, have a full-time job elsewhere, and they just want you to hold their commission.
But you're gonna choose who the reserve officer is.
Correct. And so, you know, if you put too much restrictions on them, they're gonna say, I don't want it, I'll go get my reserve, hold my stuff somewhere else. I don't even waste my time with you guys. So you gotta handle those guys with kid gloves.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Well, we're just going right along.
And before we adjourn, I just wanted to remind you that at our next meeting on October the 3rd, that we're gonna have the workshop from 4 to 6 before the city council meeting. Okay, so just be sure to plan for
Bringing
that.
snacks or
Yeah,
something?
we'll
And we're
plan on
gonna get
doing
some
that.
from the
Bring some
city.
cookies.
Sam's got cookies. Cookies,
We'll have to.
Make sure they're gluten free.
Homemade HEB.
Yeah. Okay, can I have a motion to
Oh,
adjourn?
wait, sorry, just one quick thing, and since Corey is here, we looked at your signs and we think that, and I think we can mention it because you're here and we spoke about it, right?
Right. I
Yes.
was just gonna talk to him about.
Okay,
those
but yes,
words.
we'll speak to you later because Mike wants to add, I think
Styrofoam.
styrofoam on the signs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so.
We
that's
gotta
all I was-
redesign
that's all
it.
I was gonna
Can you
say.
tell him, Kent, what your idea was for the sign?
Glass cans and foam, leave that at home.
Were you gonna say something, Corey?
Actually, I apologize. I was looking at the agenda and I noticed that at the very end of it, I didn't see the agenda, re-jumbled around. But would y'all mind, I know you guys are going super quick tonight, but would y'all mind like a quick recap of last month's meeting?
Well, I think, all we put on the agenda was just the signs.
Okay. Y'all didn't want like a Parks Board report?
Well, I also told them that we just, and you don't know this either, but we just set up the workshop.
Mhm.
So I talked to Jay Daniel and he just got back to me a couple hours ago.
Okay.
So it will be October 22nd, the day you suggested,
Mhm.
on a Tuesday, starting at 6 o'clock. And so we'll talk about the, and so, yeah, we can't really recap all that other stuff.
Can he recap it at the meeting on Monday, though?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
You
Okay,
can
can I
tell
have
us
a
some-
motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn at, early, 8:25.
I'll second.
I think Mike got it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries.